Hello and welcome. So today we're going to be talking about VPC. Now we know of multiple cloud platforms that are being used by Fortune 500 companies, namely AWS, which you can see on my screen. We have Azure, we have Google Cloud, and within AWS, which is one of the cloud platforms, we have a resource named VPC, known as Virtual Private Cloud. Now, if you go to the public internet or the browser, you search up for VPC, there are multiple videos and YouTubes as well as informations and blogs that give you insight as to what a VPC is and what they are all about. Now, taking a view from AWS documentation themselves, when we look at VPC here, they tell us that we can use it to launch resources logically, isolating the resources from the outside world, basically creating us a space where we can privately launch our resources, our applications, our infrastructures, and then go from there. Now, when you look below here, we have a typical architecture diagram from the AWS documentation on a VPC. So when you are launching a VPC, basically you create the VPC within a specific region, and within this region, this is where you now spin up and host whatever application that you would want to. As you can see, within these VPCs, we have subnets. And within the subnet, we have instances. And instances on its own, basically virtual machines, right, from EC2 are being used to do what? Host applications. So we can do a lot more. Now, moving on into the AWS environment. This is my AWS environment. Right here, we're going to head straight to what? VPC, because we're going to be playing around with this on the cloud provider AWS themselves. So I'm going to go to my search. Right here on my search, I'll type in VPC. So when I type in VPC, VPC is basically going to pop up, and then I'm going to select VPC. Okay. So there we go. So this is VPC. I'm going to click on VPC, and it will take me into the VPC console, VPC environment. So as you can see on this environment, I have a lot going on here. As you can see, I have three VPCs, I have a NAT gateway, and a bunch of stuff. But basically, this is the um, dashboard, so to speak, that gives us an insight to whatever resources that we have launched and how many of those resources are there. Now, we want to create a fresh new VPC for ourselves. Now, for us to be able to do so, we'll go to Create VPC above. We're going to click on Create VPC. This is going to pop up. Now, next thing we want to do is going to click on VPC only. We don't want VPC and more. VPC and more is more of the automation part. So you automate the process of creating a VPC. Right here, we're going to be going through VPC step by step. So we'll go to put in VPC only, and then under the name tag, I'll call this product VPC. So this is going to be my product VPC. I highlight, I'm going to copy this, and then once I copy this under the slider, I'm going to put in 10.0.0.0 forward slash what? 16. Once I fill this in, I'm good to go. Next, I'll go ahead and click on create VPC. Now, this is how easy you can create a VPC. Now, once you have created a VPC, there's a lot more that needs to be made to make this VPC a lot more functional. For example, you need a subnet. As you can see on this architecture diagram, we have a subnet. We have an internet gateway here. These subnets are being placed in multiple availability zones, and that is exactly what we're going to do right here. Now, once everything is okay and good to go, that is now when you can now launch an instance inside of this particular what VPC and place it in your subnet for you to use. Now, we're going to click on subnets, and then we're going to create two subnets. So the subnets that we're going to create, we come here, click on VPC ID, we select the product VPC, and then we'll come down to subnets, and just like I said, two subnets. So put in product what? public. So we're going to create one public subnet, just put in one, right? And then we can just put in 1A for reference purposes. The availability zone is going to be in US East 1A, and we'll leave the VPC CIDR block as it is. When it comes to the subnet CIDR, we can put it 10.0.0.0 forward slash what 24, and then we're going to come down. We're going to add another one, so we add a new subnet, just like I said, two. So two subnet in the sense that we're going to be creating one public, one private. That's all we need. So we're going to space this in. You can create as much as you want, but right here, this is what we want to do. So we'll get it product private what. This is going to be product private, and this is going to be 1A. So 1A for the public, 1A for the private. They are all going to sit in one availability zones, right? And then for the subnet, this time around, we make it 10.0.1.04/24 to make a difference. The reason, if we put in the same subnet CIDR, it is going to overlap. Now, what you're looking at right here is a VPC that's going to come with a public subnet and a private subnet. Okay, that's what you're looking at right here. Something very simple that you can easily do yourself. We don't want to make it complex. We can add more, right? But we want to make it simple. So come down here, we click on create subnet, and once we click on create subnet, our subnet is going to create for us. Now, mind you, when you create a VPC, a route table is created for you by default. So the route table that is created for you by default, we're going to be leveraging that route table, and we're going to make that route table public. Okay, and then we'll create a custom route table for ourselves. So how do I identify this? Easy. Just like I said, I copied this, so it makes it a lot more easy for me to narrow things down. Okay, so we don't have any match here. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and make this a lot more bigger so that we can have a clear screen, and then we can find it manually. So we'll move this over here. We'll come down to where it says VPC. When we stretch this out, we can scroll down from here to figure out where our product routable is. Now, for some reason, we don't have our routable here, which is not a problem. What we can do is we can create a routable for ourselves. Now, to create a routable for ourselves, something we got to do is to click on create routable. Above here, we can put in the name, we can put in product, so it's going to be our product routable. So we can make it product route, but we want to distinguish it. So we're going to make this product route public. It's going to be our public. Make it easy for us to work with. We'll copy this, select the VPC, which is the product VPC, and we'll hit on that button to create it. Create another one since we are unable to find the one that was created for us by default. So one thing we can do is we can head back again, routable, we can click on routes, and then right here, this is going to be the one for the private. And then we'll come down and we'll select what products. There we go. So we hit on that button, and then we have a VPC, a subnet, and a routable, right? Next thing we want to do is to create the internet gateway. So we're going to create this. Again, this VPC is being created within a region. Which region are we creating this? North Virginia. And then within the region, we have a VPC created, right? What is the name of the VPC? Product VPC. When we look at this, this is the product VPC. Now, within the product VPC, we have subnets, right? How many subnets do we have? We have two subnets, just to make things a lot more easier for us, which is the public and the private subnet. We're just going to be working with two subnets. Now, within the subnet, we have a route. What route do we have? We have two routes, right, for the subnet, which is the public route and the private route. Now, next thing we want to do is we are going to create an internet gateway. And just a quick reminder to let you know that when we were creating the subnet, we made sure that we placed it within an availability zone. Hence, we have the 1A identified there to signal the availability zone in which our subnet is sitting on. So next, we'll create an internet gateway. We'll go to internet gateway, click on create internet gateway. We'll come here on internet gateway and we'll place in the name product. This is going to be product IGW, and we're going to hit on create internet gateway. Now, once we do that, we need to attach this to a VPC. And what VPC do we attach this to? Of course, product VPC. So we hit on create and this is attached to our VPC. Now we need to make sure that everything is good to go. Now we'll go back to the route tables. Now right here on the route tables, one thing we can do to filter this out is we can come down to filter VPC and then we'll select the product VPC that we are working on. So when we select the product VPC, the only route table that's going to come up is the one we want to work with. So we check on the public route and then we'll go to action. While here on action, what I want to do is I want to explicitly associate the public subnet to the public route table, and that's what I want to do here. Same thing is what I'm going to do for the private. I want to explicitly associate the private subnet to the private what routable. So I'm going to do the same thing for this. And then once I go ahead and save the associations, it's going to take me back. And when I move here, I can see that this is what explicitly associated. Now, to make sure that we are good and ready to work with an instance, right, we want to place, of course, the instance where it will be able to have traffic come in and go out. And that is what's going to be the public. So we're going to check on the public. And then once you check on the public, we come down to actions. We'll click on edit routes. And then once we click on edit routes, we're going to add our routes. The destination is going to be the internet. The target is going to be our internet gateway, and then we're going to specify the internet gateway for this, which is the product internet gateway. And once you have done that, we save. Now, this is as good as it can be for a beginner learning to set up a virtual private cloud environment, basically an isolated portion of the cloud that is dedicated what to your use. Now, this particular sample VPC creation can be used to host what a machine. When I talk about a machine, I'm talking about an instance. So we can make that what work with this. All right, I'm gonna stop here. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave a text. Thank you.